everyone. This is North Landwalker, and this afternoon we're going to be spending a couple of hours in Star Citizen, which is giving me the black screen at the moment. Let's hope that things are going okay. And seems that we may already be getting ready for a 30k server crash. What a way to start things out, right? We're going to take a quick peek at some of the details here. Fun fact, if you do the console command I just did, r_display_info1, you get all this information on the upper right hand corner. You see frames per second, but more to the significant point here is there's a value, and it's hard to see behind the armistice zone symbol, but it's called bwin. And when that starts turning into zeros, that means you have a 30k incoming, which is basically your server crash. But it seems it's being exaggerated because we seem to be reasonably healthy there. So I'm going to turn that off now. 0 and 1 are the toggles, and there's a couple other toggles you can go in there too. You can do it with 1, 2, or 3, but 1 is more than sufficient for my needs. In any case, hi! Last week, tried to take it easy and do a little bit of mining, only to discover that a bug had effectively killed my prospector, and tried to work with one of the fellows in my org in his mining vessel, which promptly attempted to murder me. Actually, it succeeded in murdering me. We're not going to discuss that. You can see the clip of the whole trauma on my Twitch channel. And we finally got some ore mined, and then we had a server crash and lost everything. So clearly, last week's mining episode fell somewhat short of actually mining anything. Now today, we're going to do something even less strenuous here, and part of that is because I've had a couple really late nights recently, so there's an excellent chance that sleep deprivation will start kicking in, and I might start hallucinating and babbling on the stream. So in order to hopefully avoid any horrible consequences on that, we're going to take a look at some of the lesser dealt with, most lesser played portions of the game at the moment. And a part of it has to do with, well, we'll get to that once we start rolling here. And we're going to start rolling right now. Oh, they've got a ship show going on at HDMS Opera at Hurston here. One time, occasionally you'll find players will spontaneously do ship shows where everybody brings a ship to some location, and everybody can go see all the pretty ships that everybody has. It's a good way to see all these ships that aren't exactly for sale or rental, or people who are just coming in to see it for the first time. However, we are not at Hurston. We are at Port Olisar. Olisar is a space station around the gas giant of Crusader. And it used to be a starting zone for new players, except, well, the new player experience started getting ugly when you had jerks flying around and ramming ships on the landing pads. Not a good look for new players to spawn in and have their ship blown up before they even get outside. Jerkwads happen. But I've always liked Olisar because Olisar has a wide variety of stuff for a beginning player. We've got this place to buy armor over here. You've got, on the other side, a place to buy weapons. If we hop over to the other side here, we have a couple trade terminals, which I'm not entirely sure Olisar actually buys anything anymore. And it sells not huge amounts of stuff. Over here you have a dumper's depot where you could buy ship parts, including weapons. And on the other side here we have Kasaba, where you can buy a selection of clothing. It's also worthy of note that Cassava is where you can buy water, where you can drink.
Thanks for coming in.
That's a big deal. And I believe it's at Garrity's Defense that carries the energy bars or MREs that you can eat. They might be live fires. It's one of the two on the other side. And as you can see, you can spawn into habitation units on the upper level there. There are plenty of landing pads, probably more than almost anywhere else. There's 4 struts to Olisar, and each of them have 10 landing pads. So, 40 landing pads. All that said, Olisar's future is in doubt. It has long been said that Olisar is basically a placeholder until they come up with the landing zone of Orison, which will be literally in the atmosphere of Crusader. And we could be seeing that later this year. But the fate of Olisar itself, that's a good question. Personally, I think it would be a waste to just remove it from the game. I think that it would be extremely good to use as an orbital station in the same manner as, for example, Ever's Harbor or Bygenie Point. That said, it could use a bit of work because you can only you can't travel between the struts unless you go extra vehicular, which I've always felt was a big missing link in Port Olisar. And of course, the fact that Olisar is all open as opposed to hangars. We'll see that momentarily. What we're going to do is we're going to grab a ship to take our tour in. Hey, Cap. Hello. And Puffin. Hey. Hello, everybody. Maybe it moves from new system to new system? It could work. I could see them transferring it from Crusader to Pyro, whenever they get around to it. I hope both of you are doing well today. This may be a day where I have all sorts of entertaining things like hallucinations or something like that, because I've been awake far too often lately. And if I start speaking in tongues, you'll know that things are going completely off the rails. We are going to do a lot of overkill here by taking a touring ship, the Origin 600i, on our... And it makes sense, because if I'm going to be doing a little tour of Stanton, why not take a ship designed for touring? Crazy logic stuff. So we'll hop on outside here. We have the airlock rolling here so that we don't end up dealing with the joys of the vacuum of space. Luckily, I remember to have my helmet on. Pro tip right there. Make sure you have your helmet on before you go into airlocks. I cannot tell you how many times that I've hopped into the airlock, opened it up, and then I start hearing the choking noises that tell me, oops, guess we forgot to put the helmet back on. Followed by a frantic, desperate attempt to get into the airlock and close it up again and get the oxygen again. Yes, don't die this time. That is a motto worth living by. Yeah, that's this kind of insight that keeps Cap coming back to the stream. Yes, I am the king of pointing out the glaringly obvious. But I am hardly the only person to have forgotten to make sure the helmet is secure before one goes into the airless void of space, with all the attendant consequences thereof. Now, there's 2 different varieties of the 600i. There's the exploration variety, which has a cargo bay, which can lower down and can handle a vehicle, a couple scanning stations, or this one, which is the touring version, which is basically there to passenger hall. You've got a couple rooms here that if I get the doors open. Bed, bath, a bunch of these things. It's kind of like a mini luxury yacht. Let's see, Cap was looking at this earlier. Is the SCM speed of the 600i really less than 150 meters a second? Well, we'll find that out momentarily. We'll just take a quick hop downstairs here to see the... This is where the cargo bay would usually be in the other 600i. Got a kind of a window down here, but there's a lot of folks who think that the interior of the 600i is in need of a serious redesign, at least the touring version. They may be right. I mean, you would think you would have lots of windows to work with if you wanted to go on a tour. And back here would be the crew section. They don't get nearly as nice rooms. Yeah, it's a nice ship. Even the exploration variant is a pretty nice design too. If I think of it sometime in the near future, maybe I'll rent the 600i over at New Babbage. I think they rent the exploration variant. Seems like there's some extra humidity in here. This is the captain's quarters or pilot's quarters or VIP quarters. Okay, we're going to head back up to the flight deck here. Hopefully, I will not be murdered by the elevator. What am I saying? I'm not a passenger in an cargo mole, so the elevator will probably not kill me. Flight deck. We've got two co-pilot seats, which can use remote turrets, which I'm not 100% certain if they even work right now. I've not tested them recently, but the last I'd heard they didn't function. Let's take a look at the exterior now. You can rent it at Lorville or New Babbage. Yeah, but the question mark is it the touring version or is it the exploration version? It's the exploration version that I would want to rent. And you're right, I think the Lorville one at least is exploration. Because I had never seen the 600i touring until the last IAE Expo. Okay, technically I'm being the Department of Redundancy department there, but that was the first time I'd seen the interior of the 600i's touring variant. Now, from the exterior, it's a pretty decent looking ship too. I mean, there are some angles that look better than others, but it does kind of have the Origin look to it. Now, in order to have an excuse to go around the area of Crusader, we're going to go into the Contracts Manager, and we're going to do a set of missions that have sadly fallen to the wayside for a lot of people, and that is the Delivery series of missions. Deliveries used to be pretty straightforward. You pick up a cargo at one place, you drop it off at another. Done. And some of these are throwbacks of that, I should say. You've got the complete delivery order, which is go out to a station. Actually, we'll grab this one because this is one of the locations on my tour. And while I'm here, okay, nothing here yet. Hopefully a mission will come up in the Mercenary tab that will also be on the touring list. But I'm also going to grab some of the standard deliveries here. What they are is you can either pick up 3 packages from a single location and deliver them to 3 locations, or you can pick up packages from 3 different locations and deliver them to a single location. And they tend to usually be in the general area of the planet you're currently at. But you can see here that sometimes it takes you a little further out. This package is being picked up from the Crew L1 station. But we're going to kind of grab something that will hit us a number of different locations, I think. And I'd kind of like to avoid the L1. Yeah, I think this one will be the way we go here. This will take us to most of the moons. Let's pull up the map, which is amazingly working right now. We'll see how long that lasts. And we're going to take a high-level view of what we've got around here. Crusader has 3 moons: Daymar, Selin, and Yella. Now, at these areas, there are a number of outposts, for example. If we go to Selin over here, for example, you can see we've got aid shelters, family farms, research outposts. You'll also notice that there are a couple things in orbit around Selin here. We've got a comm array, and that is the Eye of the Law. They're the guys who watch to make sure that you don't do anything criminal, and if you do, you will be tarred with criminal status thanks to the communications array. They will help you track down bounties. If a player has been a bad person and you pick up his bounty, it's the comm arrays that will help you find them. The comm arrays can also be turned off by folks who don't want the Eye of the Law on them. Now, Selin also has a security outpost, since we're on the subject of the law, where you can go and hack away any criminal status you may have. And, if you're lucky, you might even have a couple missions that point there. More on that in a bit. Now, over Daymar, we have the comm array, and we have an area called the Kovalex Shipping Hub Gundo. And that is what we're going to put first on our list. So we are going to take this really large touring vessel to basically do delivery missions. This is what is commonly referred to as serious overkill.
Thank you, and please visit again.
We're going to set the quantum drive spooled up so that the calibration and the spooling complete, and pop ourselves over to Daymar. And after we pick up the package at Daymar, well, at the hub, we might go a little bit around Daymar to just take a quick look at the general environment, and possibly stop at a very special location on this moon. Now, it's a little difficult to see because the sunlight is not exactly being cooperative at the moment, but this space station is a wreck. And I mean that in the most literal way possible. It occurs to me that I'll be disembarking and getting back on the starship with an elevator similar to the Argo Mole. This could be entertaining. Again. Oh well. If I were to think of these things before I did them, I'd probably never do them. Now, once upon a time, this was a location where apparently trade traffic was going. There's I guess the local equivalent of UPS is Kovalex, and may have noticed their boxes all over all over Stanton's system in various outposts where you could deliver or pick up boxes with presumably valuable stuff in them, or at least valuable to somebody. And you would go and you would deliver these. This was the shipping hub for Stanton. But apparently, at some point, something bad happened here. Okay, the good news is I'm free of the elevator. Bad news is I'm free of the elevator. Where is that box? There we go. So we're going extravehicular out to what I believe are the broken windows. I'm going to turn on my... Oh good, my headlamp is working. I wasn't sure it was. All these metal slats boarded up, and oh, we have something all here. Ah, they even have caution tape floating around here. You can see that they've done a very horrible job on cleanup here. Now the next step is to locate Lotto Bilzerian's package. And therein lies the adventure. So we're going to hop around here. We're on deck 1. It's too much to hope for that it'll be somewhere that we can get to easily. Sometimes in these places you have to get exotic, and yeah, it looks like I'm going to be getting exotic here too. Let's see, flip myself around. I'm going to have to go through the elevator shafts to work my way to where I want to go. Now, since it is a little challenging to navigate the elevators, I kind of make sure I'm facing upright, because lately it's been very tricky to travel upright when you're in a zero-G environment. It's not impossible, obviously, but it does require a little bit more care. Now, when I come to the other side here, there's going to be another elevator shaft. I'm going to go down that one. And that should get me to where I need to be, or at least close enough to it. Okay, we're in what looks like might have been the control room. And a fun fact with all these things around here, they are objects you can move around with your tractor beam attachment to your Gray Cat multi-tool. Now the good news is, the things you can move include packages or other assorted debris that's in your way. Let's see, is this window open? Yes, it is. Okay, so I should be able to get over here and move that out of the way. And oops. Yeah, if you manage to latch onto something that's solidly anchored down, the thing that gets pulled will not be the object, but you. Which is a very clever way of navigating through zero-G if you happen to have a suitably large object in the distance, like, say, a starship. Okay, we're going to holster the multi-tool now, and oop! Yeah, didn't quite nail down the dimensions of that particular exit adequately. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go retrace our steps. We're going to try to retrace our steps. Go in here, turn myself around, try not to bounce off anything. Oop, wrong way. Up is where I want to go. Then we're going to circumnavigate the hallway to the next elevator and go back down, and then from there back to the 600i and the real adventure. Okay, here's our elevator. Okay, technically elevator shaft. Down elevator. So far so good. So far mostly good. Go around this way. There's the windows with the slats. And the broken window is over here. And we are out of the station. So the final challenge here is, can I get back on board my ship without it murdering me? Now, the one downside of the 600i is that it only has one way in and out of the ship. It doesn't have any docking ring or airlock. It just has that elevator. That's not great. Now, the exploration variant at least has the cargo elevator, but of course it's still an elevator. It's just a bigger elevator. Speaking of elevators, I could have sworn I left it open. Maybe it automatically closed. Because I sure don't remember closing it when I came in here. Either that or someone's gotten on board the ship. That's always possible too. Okay, now for the challenge, because I need to get on the elevator. I need to be more or less up. Oh! Ah! Okay, don't panic. Apparently, this elevator has a localized gravity field. That's the good news. The bad news is I seem to have dropped the box in the process. Up there it goes. Get back here. Tractor beams are useful. Okay, elevator, elevator, elevator. There we are. Okay, apparently, what I didn't realize is that the 600i seems to have a localized gravity field for its elevators, so if I get myself more or less straight on here, I may actually still be alive. Yay! Let's see the Argo Mole do that. Now luckily, since there's plenty of floor space in the 600i, I can just set the box down right here. Alright, once we get back in the pilot seat, we're going to head down to the surface of Daymar. I'm going to track the Ling family delivery. And turn on the engines. Not going to get far if the engines aren't running. Okay, step one, looks like I need to get closer to Daymar before I can actually do anything there. And then I'm going to do a quick check as far as orbital markers. Okay, that was kind of not what I was really hoping for, so we're going to pick up our packages, the Arc Core mining area 141. Now, most of the locations on Daymar are pretty innocuous. You can go to all of these locations and land at them, and some of them will give you services for your ship, and some of them won't. I'm pretty sure that none of them will be shooting at you. That's the kind of thing that becomes pretty important at times. Now, as Daymar is a moon, it doesn't have much of what you would call an atmosphere. Well, let me rephrase that. It doesn't have much of what you would call a breathable atmosphere. Now, we are a little over 14 kilometers up. Oh yeah, yes, you were talking about SEM speed earlier, Cap. Here we go. We're approximately 112 meters per second. So yes, the SEM speed of the 600i really is less than 150 meters a second. This is not a ship you will be taking to the races. It's terrible, yes, but on the other hand, you have to figure, at the very least, this variant isn't designed for speed. It's a touring ship. So, you take it to go around and gawk at places. Now, the exploration variant, oh, that may be a different story. It does kind of feel a little more important to be a little faster on that one. So I'm going well above SCM to close in, but I'll be dropping shortly because the braking on this... Well, actually the braking is a lot better than I thought it was, honestly. Now, as you can see, Daymar has a lot of canyons. Lots of rocks. Lots of stuff. Let's see. Okay, we do have a landing pad over there. That's good. I don't know if it's big enough of a landing pad, which could be bad. There are all kinds of outposts on the various moons and worlds of the Stanton system. And many of them will have landing pads already available, and if you land on them right, you can even access the landing services, which would allow you to repair, refuel, rearm. Some of them do not have landing pads, at which point you have to pray you can find a place that's reasonably flat and large enough for you to land your ship. It does look like that might be large enough. May all my guesses be right. I'm going to go to third person view for a minute there because it's a little easier to get oneself situated. And we're going to drop down a bit. See if I can get the auto land working. There we go. Once in a while I can get the auto land working. Okay, working may be a strong term, but we're landed. We're mostly on the pad. If I go to vehicle maintenance services, I'm not on it well enough. I feel convinced that there is a very specific spot you have to be able to land on these pads to get landing services to work. And the bigger your ship is, the harder it is to hit that sweet spot.
Engines inactive.
All right. Now we have no less than 3 packages to pick up here. Now, for all the work you do in getting all these packages, once you deliver all 3 of them, you get the princely sum of 8,000 credits. Yes, I know. It's not great. But the delivery missions do give you the opportunity to visit the various locations on the various moons, the various planets. Take a look at the scenery. I mean, come on. Star Citizen isn't just about blowing up starships. It's mostly about blowing up starships, but not completely about blowing up starships. Okay. Now, sometimes you'll get your packages on a shelf here. Sometimes they'll be inside of this Kovalex shipping box here, and you would be able to access it by doing the pickup button right here. If you drop off, you click on drop off. And they aren't necessarily all in the same building even. For example, this was the only one in this building. I've got 2 more in another building. Gravity on Daymar is relatively light. Whee! Yeah, I'm easily amused sometimes. Actually, if I were smart, I would put this on the bottom deck and keep it separate from the Kovalex, well, not the Gundo package. But for heaven's sake, why would I start being smart now? That would be just way out of character. I will, however, put them in this room. So it's wider, more separation. Back out of the ship. Now, clearly, if you're doing this mission, these delivery missions in general, ships like this really are not your best choice. Better choices would be ships like the RSI Aurora, although in those you kind of have to stack the boxes on top of each other if you want to get all 3 in the same ship. A better choice would be the Avenger Titan, which is one of the Avenger series of starships from Aegis. They're large enough to easily fit all the various boxes into it. But personally, if I were to make a recommendation on that kind of thing, I would go with either the Cutlass Black or the Freelancer. Obviously, I would recommend the Freelancer because, well, really, Cutlasses? Come on. But both ships have more than enough cargo room to pick up as many packages as you can possibly desire. In fact, some people will go out of their way to pick up multiple delivery missions in the hopes of getting some duplication and hopefully get things to work out that way. Back to the top deck. The advantage of all of those ships is that they all have ramps. Not just ramps, but ramps that are close to the ground. Which means you're not doing the song and dance that I'm doing right now, going into the elevator, dropping them off, going out of the elevator, rinse and repeat. So definitely take my advice. If you're going to be doing delivery missions, do not do what I am doing. Unless, of course, you're just looking for an excuse, which pretty much sums up the reason I'm doing this. One more package, and we will head up and we'll see where things are at. There's a certain location that I would like to show if the sun is in the right position, shall we say. If it's not, well, there's another location that might be worth visiting. First things first, though. Grab the last of these packages. Open sesame. Now, it's also worth noting that if a location has a landing pad, then the odds are good that we will be in an armistice zone. You'll notice the bullet with the circle slash through it. That indicates that nobody can take a weapon out and shoot you. Now, ship weapons may be operational, but it's considered rude to be shooting at somebody in an armistice zone. That gets you criminal status. hand weapons are right out. If you want to kill somebody in an armistice zone, you have to be pretty far out of the armistice zone and have a weapon with a really long range, like, say, I don't know, sniper rifles. Not that I've ever done anything like that. That would be wrong. It'd also be difficult because a lot of people aren't bothering with the delivery missions because there are 4 stops and a lot of work for 8,000 credits. And 8,000 credits, that's actually an increase from what they were originally going to be. I think they were originally going to be 5,000. And we consider all the possible things that can happen to a player doing this kind of thing, like server crashes. That's a lot of time spent doing a lot of nothing.
Launch complete. Landing gear raised.
Now, I do want to take an extra moment to note that while we take these pot shots at the SCM speed, the standard combat maneuvering speed of the 600i, you'll carefully notice that my hydrogen fuel remains at 99%. It may be slow, but either it's got very large hydrogen tanks or it's got very efficient hydrogen tanks. Either way, it's all good. Okay, let's see if I can take a peek at orbital marker positions. That's Gundo. That's Olisar. That's a comma ray. Orbital marker 2. No, I don't want orbital marker 2. Fortunately, I might have to take orbital marker 2. Okay, so we do it that way. Incidentally, something worth noting is about orbital markers is that orbital marker 1 and orbital marker 2 are, theoretically, at the poles. So we're at what would be the south pole of Daymar here. Now from here we can see the other orbital markers. Or at least most of the orbital markers. And yes, that is the one I want to go to. Orbital marker 3. This is going to be mildly insane, but I'm all about the mildly insane. Yes. This is where I want to be. Now, I'd like to point out that there's this, depending on how you happen to be maneuvering, you have this kind of letter C almost right over here. But that's not the interesting thing. The interesting thing is over to the left-hand side of it. And we're going to do a manual approach. This is going to be entertaining too, because like I said, the braking on this thing is dubious. So we may have some entertaining effects happening soon. Hopefully the entertaining effects will not involve me crashing horribly into the planet. Now this will take a few minutes. I cannot even get to a kilometer a second on this thing. But we are getting closer. I usually don't try. I try not to panic until I see the altimeter appear, because that'll mean I'm in the relative atmosphere of Daymar, and that'll mean that if I don't slow down quickly, I'm going to be making an impact. Well, technically, I'll be making an impact crater, but these are little details. Let's see. So far, so good. The good news is that since Daymar does not have a thick atmosphere, getting down to the ground isn't quite as painfully slow as it could be. Why do I still have that showing there? I've got to redo something on my Streamlabs. I should not be showing currently flying RSI Constellation Phoenix because I'm clearly not flying an RSI Constellation Phoenix. That's supposed to be turned off generally until I turn it on manually. But it's been popping up a lot lately, and that's annoying. Let me get to my Streamlab thing here. I don't know what it is about this lately. When people say I want to make an impact, that's typically not what they have in mind. Hello, Fiendy! How are you doing today? I am taking a tour of the Stanton system today, mainly because I'm partially sleep deprived and it's quite possible that I might start hallucinating and babbling in tongues somewhere along the line. So, this stream may or may not get highly entertaining. Nothing like the heat of re-entry here. That's going to scorch my paint job a little bit, isn't it? Ah, okay. Now you'll notice that on my screen, after I'm zooming in a little bit here, you'll be noticing this interesting set of dots right over here. Seems interesting, doesn't it? Uh-oh. Altimeter is alive. I'm getting far too close. Hit the brakes! Hit the brakes! This is, since I don't know how long you've been watching D&D, this is the moon of Daymar, a moon around the gas giant of Crusader. And we're taking a brief detour from the general tour to take a look at one of the points of interest that you won't find on the map. You see, somewhere along the line in the history of Stanton, there was a horrible, horrible crash on Daymar. Specifically, it was a crash by an Aegis Javelin destroyer. And we are here to take a look at the wreckage. Now that said, this particular ship is going to have a hard time landing here because it's a big ship, and as you can see, it is not exactly what you would call kind terrain here. But if I can do it, I will do it. Now let's do a quick size comparison here. Hopefully I won't accidentally wipe out my ship as I'm doing so. You may have guessed that the Javelin is a little bit larger than this vessel is. For my next challenge is going to be finding a place to land where I won't end up doing something horrible. How's that for nice and vague? Don't do something horrible. I want to adjust my viewpoint here so I can get a better look. Oh, no. That's not as good as I was hoping. Good news is that since I'm not using a ramp, things may not be as horrible as I think it might be. May all my guesses be right.
Engines inactive.
Alright, now that we've arrived at the wreckage site, let's get an idea of just how big a Javelin destroyer is. Now, for folks unfamiliar with Star Citizen in general, the Javelin is actually a ship you can pledge for, but it is also at the pretty much top end of the ships you can pledge for. It's Also a ship that's not really well designed for solo play, let's put it that way. It is not yet in the game in a flyable state. Ooh, I hope that doesn't come back to bite me later. So we got what looks like a, I don't know, engine manifold maybe? Let's change up the viewpoint here. Ah! What happened to my leg? Oh, okay, thank God it's not horribly, oh, it is kind of horribly twisted. I'm done. I hope that doesn't mean I broke it. No, we're working. Ah, my spleen. Again, Daymar is low gravity, so I can make these incredibly insane jumps. Oops, too much of a jump. But the good news is, low gravity, impact isn't too violent. I'm not killing myself instantly when I make these jumps. And that is a perfectly normal leg position for every human meat being. It's certainly not something a shapeshifter would do. Alright, who told you this? I think I need to speak with you privately. Let me get to the other side of the wreck here. Actually, I was on the side I wanted to be on, wasn't I? Oh, let's keep going forward. If we hop over here, I don't know if this is supposed to be an engine bay or if it was supposed to be something else. The only thing I know is it's big. And this is probably one of the reasons why the Javelin is not yet in a flyable state in the game, because that's a lot of interior to work on. It's supposed to be able to handle a crew of 80 people. And right now, the servers can't handle 50. So, read that what you will. It could be a fighter hangar, maybe, but I don't know if the Javelin actually has that many fighters. I'm sure the people who pledged for it would know, and I'm sure the folks who work on the wiki would know, but I haven't cared about the Javelin enough to look up all of its various capabilities. Okay, now if we run over this way, we're going to take a look at one other feature of the Javelin before we bid farewell to this portion of Daymar. Over here, we have the command deck, the bridge. Remarkably good shape, all things considered. Over here, there would probably be a holographic globe, possibly showing the area of space around you, perhaps? Or maybe it would be a glance at the solar system you're in? Who knows? It don't work no more because, you know, Javelin crashed. An emergency escape pod exit, which apparently nobody actually used because it's still closed off here. We have the command station up here. And one of these is likely the helm, and one of these is likely a co-pilot seat. Which is which? Who knows? But if there's one thing that I'm hoping that is easily understood here, is just how freaking big the Javelin is. Which is to say, pretty damn. Okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to... Oh, I could if I get the angle right. Here we are. Hopping on top of the ship here. It's going to be pretty impressive when you can actually go aboard a working javelin. Now, javelins are, I'm not going to say available exactly, they are present in the game on special occasions, like the recent Xenothreat event, and they also showed up during last year's Invictus Flight Week, doing a grand tour of Stanton, although not quite to this depth, shall we say. I really hope this is indicating that the thing went back up and not down, because otherwise I'm in serious trouble. Okay. Okay, let's go back on board here. Now, incidentally, just worthy of mention, over the last couple of weeks, CIG has been allowing people to name their starships on the RSI website with the eye towards the names being actually printed on your ships. I would, just as a point of information, this ship is being named Hyperion Star after a certain group of heroic figures that I ran with a number of years ago. I like to have a little bit of history behind my ship names. And I couldn't get Hyperion itself because, well, big shock. Popular one-word name. Who would have thunk it? But I'm a creative sort of person.
Landing gear raised.
Alright, let's get the view set back again. And let's take a look at our map. I think is there one more place I want to show off on Daymar before we leave Daymar behind? Or am I thinking somewhere else entirely? I think I'm thinking somewhere else entirely. Oh, no, maybe not. We're going to go to Bryo's Breaker Yard. Now, Bryo's has an interesting distinction. It didn't used to be on the map. During the 3.12 patch, a number of, shall we say, less than legal locations got put onto quantum beacons so that you could actually quantum travel there. They didn't used to. They do now. Why they would do this as a place that is somewhat less than legal is beyond my comprehension. I mean, seriously, why would you advertise to the authorities where you are? This is not a smart thing to do. But, and this will shock nobody, I was not consulted. Okay, looks like I need to set course there to keep that up there. I always like to have the course marked to a location, especially if it's on the night side. Hey, welcome back, Buffin. I was just showing off the Javelin wreckage on the other side of Daymar. So you'll be able to, you can always hop back maybe 10 minutes from this point in the stream and see what it's like to see a capital ship wrecked on a moon. Incidentally, it's worth pointing out that somewhere along the line, they're going to be redoing that wreck. It's going to look a lot more visually impressive in the near future. I've seen a couple of pictures they were doing during a stream. CIG's streams. And it looks like it's going to be pretty impressive to visit. Of course, they'll probably also put a quantum beacon in at that point, and that'll kill the specialness of the spot. But hey, more people will get to see it, so it all works out in the end. We are now heading towards Brio's Breaker Yard, which is one of the one of the less legal areas in the Stanton system. I don't think they sell any cargo offhand, although I could be wrong. I know they'll probably buy some cargo, your kind of contraband material, perhaps. They have a no questions asked terminal. So, wherever you happen to have gotten your cargo, they will be willing to buy it if they want it. Unfortunately, since it's awfully dark outside, we're probably not going to get a good look at it. And I really don't plan to step outside if the headlight spotlight stuff brightens the area enough to see. I just want to, just give a brief look at the area. And then we will leave Daymar and head to one of the other moons of Crusader. I'll go crazy and increase my speed a bit. I'm sure that won't come back to bite me. Flying in the dark when I can't see where the ground is, that's always a great thing to be doing. That said, the increased speed of a 600i is not exactly what you would call speed racer material. Okay, let's drop it down. Oops. Slow. Okay, headlights are working. Awesome. Okay, now as you can see, there is a lot of garbage. That's right, with all the stuff that gets thrown away and broken into the Stanton system, all that debris has to be sent somewhere. And Brio's Breaker Yard is one of those places. If you look close enough, you can possibly pick up the view of some very familiar starships. For example, it looks like over here, where it rightfully belongs, looks like a wrecked, upside-down Drake Cutlass Black. It looks so appropriate being in the broken bits of metal, doesn't it? Yeah, I know. I'm pretty consistent about my opinions towards Drake Interplanetary. Now, you'll also notice that we are in a communications satellite area, as indicated by the icon up here, but we do not have the bullet with the circle slash through it. This is not an armistice zone, which means people can shoot you here, whether you're in the air or on the ground. So, if you're looking to do violence, this is one of those places where you can get away, well, not get away with it exactly, because you will still get crime stat, because the satellites are still up. This building in front of me, I think might be the area where they have the trade terminals and the Kovalex shipping box. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think I can get any lower down without bumping into something. In fact, I think I'm kind of bumping into something now. Can I get a little lower? I'm just trying to peek through the door. This is obviously a better place to go if you're flying a smaller ship. Okay. That's breakers. So let's take a look at my current contracts. And see where I have to deliver my packages, not that one. Okay, we've got 2 locations on... Oh, let me check one more thing first. Okay, We will go to yellow first. As soon as I hit the right tab. And we've got 2 locations. We've been at Port Olisar. Crusaders at that gas giant where you can't do anything yet. But again, Orison is slated this year. And we will start out at the Artcore mining facility to drop off package number 1. Because what else do you want to do with a touring starship that delivers packages? Like I said, it's an excuse. The nice thing about delivering packages is not the pay, because the pay stinks. I mean, it's decent if you're starting out in the game and you need to get some seed money to purchase guns for your Aurora. But after that, bounties are so much better paid. So clearly you don't do this for the money. You do it so it takes you to places that perhaps you've never been. Or perhaps you haven't visited very often. You just want to see the areas. Now, as you can see, Yella is not quite as brownish dusty as Daymar. Yeah, that was one more thing I wanted to point out about Daymar. Daymar is also the location of the yearly Daymar Rally, where a number of players will break out their ground vehicles and race in a marathon. These races tend to be live fire races as well, and pirates have been known to come to interrupt those races. But it is arguably the biggest annual player-run event in Star Citizen at this time. If you do a Google for Daymar Rally, you can find their homepage and read all about it. In comparison, Yella is, well, colder. Or at least icier. Snowier? I'm not entirely sure the best word for it. Let's kick our speed up a little bit so that we're not taking forever to close 20 kilometers. If I recall correctly, we're not close enough to see anything spawning in yet. I want to say that there are landing pads at this destination. I just can't prove that there are landing pads at this destination. Oh, better figure it out fast because we're within 5 kilometers. Okay, there we go. And oh, what's this? We have somebody there. Someone has a Drake Dragonfly here. All alone. It's listed as unknown owner, which means someone probably abandoned it. That's probably a decent thing, because that means I don't have to worry about somebody hijacking the 600 here. That would be inconvenient.
Landing gear deployed.
Let's get ourselves a little closer to the landing pad. Maybe, just maybe, I can land on this thing decently. I'm gonna go to third-person view because, again, trying to land in first-person view in a large ship is occasionally challenging. Okay, it was not the gentlest landing, but we are down. Just for giggles, I am in a position to do my repair, refuel, so I'm going to do that now.
Engines inactive.
Now, when you're doing these delivery missions, it's important before you go outside to determine which box you need to pick up to deliver. So as soon as I get out of the seat here, I could have sworn this was where I was supposed to go. Hardcore 157, right? Okay, well, as long as I remember 046, I'll be fine. So we are going to grab this packet here, and we're going to take a look at yellow. Slow elevators. And down we go. Ah! No. Okay, my elevator and I clearly need to have a talk, because we are not moving anywhere near the direction I want to be going. I want out of the ship. And this is why I'm not afraid of artificial intelligence, because they've got a long way to go. Ah, there we are. I'm looking at the complete... I'm looking where all the other buildings are. It's on the other side of the landing pad. Now, as you can see, it's a little chilly here. We're kicking it at minus 123 degrees Celsius right now, and I will freeze to death in about 18 minutes or so. Luckily, I'm not going to be here anywhere near that long. I also seem to have given myself a toe stub or something like that when I was bouncing around the javelin deck. Okay, now I was talking about the Covalex boxes. Here we are. I'm going to click on the drop-off button. Door slides open. Place box in. And that's one delivery made. And a lot of these outposts, like the Arcor Mining, they will have these trading and shipping consoles where you'll be able to buy and sell cargo. Usually buy. I actually have 16 standard cargo units on this thing. I didn't think I had any cargo units on it. So, for example, just for the giggles, I'm going to purchase 16 standard cargo. Okay, I'm going to purchase one standard cargo unit worth. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Although maybe I am, because apparently everything else here is... There we go. 16 units of fluorine. Why not? Why not? I have no idea where they're going to be putting that cargo, because I don't recall seeing any cargo area in this Touring 600i, but what the heck? I'm also not 100% certain where I'll be able to sell it, but you know. So it's snowing, it's kind of snowing, icing something out here. Let's see. Well, okay. The good news is the atmosphere is apparently 100% pure oxygen. The bad news is there's apparently zero pressure, so I'm not entirely sure that taking off the helmet would be healthy. And of course, our atmosphere has a little bit more in it than just oxygen. All the lovely little things like CO2 and nitrogen that we need to survive. But it's obviously enough to cause some sort of precipitation here. What? Okay, that was weird. So, back on my climate-controlled ship. And we're going to head the other locale on yellow that we need to drop off at. We're going to try if I can get in my seat. Sometimes you can't sit in the seat quite as nicely as you'd like. Alright, we'll power on the engines and take off.
Launch complete. Landing gear raised.
Now it's worth noting that the 600i has the two co-pilot seats. They can operate remote turrets. There are also guns that are available to the pilot. I believe these eyes are size 5 guns, are pretty decent sized, and these are cannons, which means they will hurt when they hit. And we also have a decent payload of 16 Arrestor size 3 missiles. So the 600i is not completely helpless. On the other hand, it's not exactly a warship either, so think carefully before taking it into a combat situation. Now we have one more package to deliver at the Nakamura Valley Aid Shelter. And I'm very glad to see that on there because I like to show a location that isn't a mining facility. Or, for that matter, a criminal facility. Now, honestly, I'm not entirely sure why we have these aid shelters out there in the first place at the moment, because the only purpose in their existence is to either pick up or drop off packages. That's it. You would think that an aid shelter would have something that could, I don't know, aid somebody.
Quantum drive.
But
Activated.
that is apparently not the case. I guess it goes into the category of maybe someday we'll see something there. Gonna kick up the speed again. Because 20 kilometers is a rough distance to travel if you're going at your standard combat maneuvering speed of 120-ish, 110, 120, somewhere in that range. Now, the downside of the aid shelters is that there are no landing platforms, no landing pads at all, which means you've got to try to find a relatively flat space to land in. Depending on the size of your ship, this is either going to be really, really easy or really, really disgusting. This is one of those cases where it's going to be really, really disgusting. Literally, if it were easy, everybody would be doing it. Okay, technically it is easy, it's just not profitable. Now, as you can see, the ground here is not even remotely level. And it's getting a little... well, no, turning on my lights did not help at all. And I see rocks in the way. Let's adjust the third-person view a little bit. Again, not the most elegant landing, but you know how it goes. Any landing you can walk away from is a win. We are looking at 009 for my package, so we're going to grab package 009. Yes, I'm only looking at the last 3 numbers. I'm not going to try memorizing 6-digit numbers when I don't have to. Oh, it's the yellow box. The Kovalex shipping box. So who knows what could be in this package. Although I'm guessing it's probably, I don't know, food stuff? Bandages? Liquor? Your guess is as good as mine. Okay, we're about 100 meters away, so we'll just do a leisurely jog. And I say it's a leisurely jog because when you're carrying a box, you can't run. You can't go any faster. You can certainly go slower, but that's just a hazard of trying to get around with big boxes. And as you can see, I don't have a Kovalex box to deposit this in. I just have to put this on the shelf. And that one's done. theoretically. I didn't see any messages come up, which bugs me. But it says it's delivered here, and that's all that matters. So we've done our deliveries here on Yellow. We've taken a quick peek at the at a mining pad area and an aid shelter. But is there anywhere else that's interesting here? We're a little off the. Okay, I was able to jump up on there. Thank heavens. That could have gotten uglier fast. Now there is one. I believe there is one more point of interest on Yellow that I'd like to take a stop at. Presuming that I'm remembering correctly. But first, I've got to get myself off the surface and a couple kilometers up.
Engines active. Launch complete.
Oh yeah, that's another thing I could have pointed. I might have needed to point out. Yellow is a ringed moon. Basically, it's got a ring. It's not exactly what we would call a thick ring or a highly visible ring like you would see on Saturn or anything like that. But as you can see, it does have a ring of asteroids going from one side to the other of the horizon. Now, am I right? Or am I completely off base here? Ah, here we go. We're going to take a brief stop at another famous location in Star Citizen, a place called Jumptown. Early on in the game's history here, Jumptown was the general source of a drug called Widow. And it was a highly valuable drug sell at certain criminal locations. So much so that players would often come here and kill off anybody else who was here to take over so that they could reap the benefits of selling that particular drug. So we're going to take a quick peek at this historical location. Unfortunately, this historical location is also, here at night side, so but on the bright side, the lights work. This is another one of those locations that recently got a quantum beacon. Why? Why? So getting here has been a lot easier. Usually, whenever I've gone here before this patch, I would wait until I had a mission that took me here so I could see where I was going. Now, there are landmarks you could use to try to find a place, but I don't really know those landmarks. I haven't really done a whole lot of contraband running. Well, usually not. Well, not that I'll admit to. No, I would never do anything to get myself criminal status and wind up in prison or something like that. That would be wrong. Okay, I think I can slow it down. Go, oh, slow it way down. Where's hit the brakes? Hit the brakes! Hit the brakes! Hit the brakes! Okay, that was a little close. Don't be like me. Pay attention. And here it is, Jumptown. It's not exactly what you would expect from a name like Jumptown, is it? Just probably a single building. Maybe a closer look is warranted.
Landing gear deployed. Landing complete.
We are live for 1.5 hours. That is correct. Hey, time flies when you're having fun, Puffin. Takes time to do travel around here. It's not instant travel, so and heaven knows I'm trying to keep things amusing, considering that the one thing we're doing here is basically just traveling from planet to from moon to moon. Obviously, I can't travel into Crusader at the moment since it's a gas giant. It would kill me in its gravity well in no time at all. So, what is Jumptown? Stop inside here. Open Sesame. Eventually. And you can see that this is kind of a really kind of tight quarters. This is where you would go to purchase those wonderful, wonderful commodities with names like Altrusia Toxin, Slam, or Widow. And as you can see, they're pretty high priced here. 49 units, well, 49 credits for a unit of the Toxin, 145 UEC for Slam, and 114 for Widow. And the profit margins for these guys is pretty substantial. The problem is that all the sellers tend to only be buying a couple units at a time, which means you're not going to get nearly as much profit as you would like. There are some missions that will ask for you to bring product to Jumptown, and then once you brought the product here, you would be asked to bring it over here to process. That's right. This is a drug lab. And you would put your package somewhere on one of these shelves, and somewhere in here you would pick up the refined product, and then you would deliver it to somewhere that there's a buyer for. And since we're on the subject of buyers, we're going to hit one more point of interest around Yellow. Now, I say that very deliberately, around Yellow, because it is not actually on Yellow. And it's also useful because I actually have a package that needs delivery there. We're going to go to what is in the Stanton system, the wretched hive of scum and villainy. Which is to say, there are no places more wretched or more hivey. You just ate 3 meals and 1 standing. I'm guessing you were pretty hungry. That's a lot. Well, you know, it's always a good thing. Starving oneself to death is not something I recommend. Food is good. We're going to go to a little place called Grim Hex. Grim Hex is located in the ring of Yella, so it's surrounded by the assorted asteroids that make up that ring. And I seem to have got myself a little too close to a very, very, very large asteroid. No big deal in and of itself, except that's not the large asteroid I want to get to. Over here is the large asteroid I want to get to. You can see from the lights over here and all that. We're not going to spend a lot of time at Hex, just long enough for me to take the package and deliver it, because we still have one more moon to visit. I will bump up the speed a bit, however, because I'm crazy. Get my communications up, because Grim Hex is a space station, so I am going to need to request a landing assignment. Now, one of the little hazards here is that that communication just kind of sets the tone for Grimhex, doesn't it? Thing is, there are a number of asteroids clumped together, and some of them are tied together by cables, piping, rebar. Your guess is as good as mine. Okay, I'm going to turn off the cruise control because I may need to be a little more fine-tuned on my approach. On the other side of this asteroid should be, unless I've completely blown my approach, there we are. The hangar bays of Grimhex. And I'm approaching them upside down, so let's reorient. Oh. Going a little too quick for there. It would be embarrassing to have gone through all this effort and then smack myself into an asteroid just in front of the landing area. It would be embarrassing. Well, embarrassing is one word to use for it. Drop landing gear, creep up a little more, and down.
Landing complete.
Landing complete. Have a business to say.
Engines inactive.
Okay. Next step. I know the package I need to deliver here because I very intentionally left it in a different spot than those other packages, but I'm still going to go to my contracts and track because I'm not 100% certain where I need to deliver it. So let's take our elevator out of here. Just want to point out that unlike the Argo Mole, the elevator on the 600i has yet to kill me. Alright, where are my... there we go. Elevators. I have to say I really like the way they redesigned the hangar areas for Grimhex. Originally, the Grimhex landing areas were outside landing pads, which are not bad. In fact, those landing pads are still there if you want to use them. You just won't be able to get any landing services there. But the interior of these hangars, it definitely gives you the feel of kind of run down almost. I don't think that's quite the right word either, but it's closer. The place actually, if you want to get technical, is called the Green Imperial Housing Exchange. However, it got abandoned, and when you abandon a station like this, people are going to move in who have nowhere else to go, and, well, eventually the people who came to stay here shortened Green Imperial to Grim, and Housing Exchange to Hex. Oh goody, we have a problem with the doors there. I have to remember that that bug's affecting that. Okay, looks like this crate is going... I'm glad I tagged marker there. Usually, delivery crate area is down this way towards the admin area. But apparently, this particular crate has a different destination. This one goes into the bowels of Grim Hex. way down to the bowels. And there it is, right over here to the left. And boy, they just keep this maintained really well, don't they? They've torn it apart, they got it hooked up to a laptop. Now you'll notice we have this fellow over here. I believe he's a mission giver if you have a suitably criminalistic reputation. I currently don't have that kind of reputation, so we're just going to leave him alone. Alright. This package is delivered, and you'll notice that for that particular package, we got a nice sum of 5,000 UEC. So, you know, yay. It is what it is. Actually, let me call this elevator over here too, because maybe I'm lucky. Maybe this is the one that's not bugged. This is the one that's not bugged. How about that? Go back to the lobby. Go back to the hangar. And let's see. My marker's still there. I'm in hangar 11. Let's see if I can get out of here before they start saying that they want to store the ship. Didn't spend too much time here, so. Now, the challenging thing sometimes, especially if you're in a relatively large ship, is that you've flown in here, but now you gotta go out backwards, because you really don't have enough room to turn around. So, that aspect of things could get entertaining quickly. It really shouldn't be a problem. I'd be more scared of the hangar doors. Luckily, this is Grimhex and not, say, almost anywhere else with a hangar door, which means they will leave their hangar doors open long enough for you to leave. There are stations that are less friendly, let's put it that way. I've often said that when they remove armistice zones from Hurston, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hunt down the folks who are in charge of the hangar control and go hog wild with the submachine gun on. It's possible that I may be carrying some bitterness here. Let's go to third-person view for a second. I realize that right now third-person view isn't giving us anything, but momentarily the doors are opening. Power on the engines. Lift up a little bit, just enough for me to get the landing gear up. And we're going to back out. Until we're oops, a little higher. Okay, let's do a little bit of turning around here to try to make sure that I can start maneuvering without, oh, I don't know, crashing into something. This direction looks good. And we are free and clear to navigate. Now you'll notice that there's a very small armistice zone around Grimhex, which means if you're a criminal, this is a good place to be. You can shoot and kill people without any repercussions whatsoever. So let's get the map rolling. And aim towards Stanton, which, incidentally, is the location of our last delivery box. Actually, I'm just going to jump to Stanton right now because I'm getting nervous about flying an asteroid, spending so much time on my map when I'm flying around asteroids. It would be just my kind of luck to crash into an asteroid while I'm trying to figure things out.
Quantum drive activated.
Now, we'll take a quick peek at the contract manager again, just to see. Nope, it's still not there. Okay, looks like I'll be visiting in a different manner.
Quantum drive deactivated.
Bring up map. Ah! Zoomed out too far. And we'll go to our drop off of Tram and Myers. And naturally, it's on the dark side. Tram and Myers is known to be one of the few spots, in fact, I think it might be the only spot in the Crusader sphere of influence that sells the mineral of laranite. It's also a place that is not covered by an armistice zone. Laranite is arguably the most valuable mineral in the system.
Quantum drive deactivated.
So let's do the math. Highly valuable material, no armistice zone. Yeah, people have been known to get killed here. And unlike drugs, you can purchase a decent amount of laranite and sell a decent amount of laranite. Although the purchasing part is a little trickier these days because the whole supply-demand thing is in a rough place at the moment. Suffice it to say, you usually will not get a full caterpillar load of laranite. You might be able to fill up a freelancer or a cutlass or maybe even a mercury if you're lucky. But you gotta be lucky. Because this is one of those places, it does not have a landing pad, so we're going to be more or less flying blind. Hopefully it'll be less flying blind than more, because I like to know where I'm landing. Okay, I can see the lights on the building. So we're going to close in a little closer. Oh, I'm still too high up. There we go. Make the approach. And let's see, is there anywhere that's even remotely flat that I can work with here? Well, the answer to that is maybe. Let's swing around over to the other side here. It means I'll have to take the long way around, but if it makes my life landing easier.
Landing gear deployed.
Oh, not the button I wanted to hit. Alright. The nice thing about landing at 600 is that it's got those big, huge landing struts there.
Engines inactive.
So you usually don't have to worry about the bottom of your ship scraping the ground. That's more of a problem on ships like Cutlasses or Freelancers or Mercuries. Alright. Time for the final package. Now, if you were a believer in the sadism of the universe, this would be the time we have a server crash coming. I'm not entirely sure why I keep taunting fate like that, but it's a hobby. All right. Again, we have the moon is cold. We'll take a quick look at the other side of the moon to get a better idea of the general environment. Because I don't feel it's fair to tar Cellin with having to look at it at night and not see what's here. I really took the wrong way around, didn't I? Ah, there we are. And doors open. We have a Kovalex shipping box here. Easy. Drop off. And light is green, trap is clean, as they say. They say, contract complete, and I get paid. Now, in this room over here is where the trading terminal is, where you would buy the minerals and the like. I remember it vividly because one time I was delivering a package with my freelancer and said, you know what, I should go and buy some cargo for my ship too and deliver it. I opened this door over here, and right on the other side is somebody with a gun pointed right at me. About 5 seconds later, I was spawning back in Port Olisar. Like I said, no armistice zone. Now, admittedly, you'll notice on the upper right-hand corner, we still have the communication satellite active. But those satellites can be turned off. Usually by people who, are, shall we say, illegally minded. That's the nice way of putting it, I think. Okay. We're going to make 2 more stops on the tour here. And by stops, I'm probably exaggerating slightly because one of them technically won't be a stop. But I want to show the general character of this particular moon, and you really can't get a good feel for it when it's pitch black out. I mean, sure, we've got the floodlights here, but come on.
Engines active. Launch.
So we're going to do a slight drift over the brighter side of it. I don't think. I don't think there's any exotic locations on here like there are that they've been at the other locations. We do have an area called private property. Oh, you know what? Let's just head in that general direction just for. Yeah, we'll head in that general direction just for giggles. If it's still dark on that side, we'll just go to a different spot. But I've never been to where it says private property, and I'm curious. I think that this is a criminal location. But I don't know that it's a criminal location. The only thing I know is that I've never been there. And as far as I'm concerned, that's excuse enough to see what's over there. For all I know, it might just be, a single building like Junktown. And of course, the other special bonus is that we will be able to see what it's like here on Cellin. If I were to compare Cellin with anything, it would be our moon, Earth's moon. A lot of craters, a lot of rocks, a lot of white. Kind of lumpy, but asteroid impacts, I'm sure. My knowledge of geology can fit into a thimble, so I'm not going to even try to guess about how the rock formations happened. So far, I've not gotten any messages saying go away, so I'm going to definitely assume that this is not a United Empire of Earth installation. Or otherwise, they'd be howling at me to go away before they start shooting turrets at me and finding me. Of course, that may still happen. Oh, I think it's on the bottom of a cliffside. The fact that I'm still not seeing the building, however, is not exactly what you call a great sign for something really awesome. Okay, there we are. There we are. At this point, I am relatively confident in saying that this is an illegal location. I don't know if they sell illegal stuff, but I'm pretty sure they buy illegal stuff. That is one impressive cliffs, ridge, whatever. Escarpment. I don't know how I describe it, but it's impressive. The guy clearly took the spot for the view. Usually, if you see this kind of antenna-like thing with the orange light on it, that'll usually indicate that that's where you would go to access a trade terminal. Just in case you want to try the cargo thing. Alright, last stop. And once again, this is a stop that is not on the moon, but near the moon. And I was really hoping that I would see a... Oh, here we go. Security Post Karia. I'll probably clear my route. Security Post Karia is occasionally invaded by NPC pirates. So if you thought there was not nearly enough action during this stream, we're going to make up for a little bit of it. Let's decrease the speed a tad, because otherwise we'll be here forever trying to close in. Karia is also known as a location where you can hack away your criminal status, taking yourself all the way from wanted by everybody and their brothers and sisters down to I am as clean as the driven snow. Of course, to do that you need to have a crypto key, and you need to survive the number of bounty hunters that will be closing in on you at this location, because they all know that this is a popular spot for that sort of thing. Now, I'm not 100% sure if there's a landing pad large enough to handle the 600i, so I may just have to park just outside. As you can see, it is a space station of adequate size. And all these little indicators with distances, those are turrets. So if you've got a criminal status, these are people who can and will shoot at you. Evading those turrets is one of the key ways of dealing with getting here. Of course, those turrets don't fire if you're a legal person. I'm sorry, if you're legally inclined to be here, like I am right now.
Landing gear deployed. Landing complete.
Oh, right.
Engines inactive.
Oh, and it looked like there was someone who was hostile closing in. I don't know if it's a hostile player or if it's a hostile AI. Well, that's why I leave my power on, and accordingly my shield's on. And if the ship winds up blown up, well, gee, I just lose a little bit of cargo of fluorine, I think. Hardly enough to break my bank. I won't lose sleep. Of course, I will be bothered if somebody tries to steal the ship, so we'll at the very least close it up. I'm going to take a quick second and swap out some of my weaponry here. Since I am doing a solo assault run here, I'm going to swap over to one of my sniper rifles. Because my preference is to take out as many of the opposition as I can without them knowing I'm there. If they know I'm there, then subtlety is out the window and we start spraying and praying. That's what these submachine guns for. If I can figure out where the heck I kept it. There we go. The ammo's all the way up here. No wonder I can't find it. And replace that ammo. Actually, that's not the one I want there. What I want there is a spare sniper rifle ammo. And once that gets recorded, we can begin our assault. Swap that weapon. There is a bug that sometimes your weapon drops like that, which is a pain in the tuchus. I was not consulted. Oh, right. I have 7 hostiles in here. So the real question is, will they get me before I get them? We'll find out momentarily. There's a guy walking there, and I just couldn't get a beat on him. And so it goes. Stealth my watchword. Mainly because if they see me, then they're probably going to spray me with submachine gun bullets, and oops. Did he really just take position over there? One down. Oh, and another guy standing right there. As you can see, the AI is not exactly what you would call sophisticated here. It helps that I'm using the sniper rifle with a tacit suppressor, which makes it quiet. And the key word here is quiet. See, you'd think that they'd know I was coming by seeing my ship sitting right outside their window. Crooks are stupid. We're down to 5. Probably should have checked to see if I had all my med pens set up right. Oops. Oh well, nothing I can do about that now. Oops. Speaking of oops. Okay, I probably wasted more bullets on him than I really needed to, but he was a little too close to noticing that I was actually here. That guy up there? No, it's not. There's almost guaranteed to be at least 1 or 2 people in the central room. Oh, nuts. Swap guns. And subtlety is out the window now. Ah, nuts, split out. I was hoping to get to cover and hit myself with a med pen before that happened, but out. Now the good news is my ship is still there. I'm gonna have to buy more of those C-54s too. It seems to be take. There we go. I was wondering how long it was going to take there. Now I refuse to let the job be half finished. So step one is get to the lobby, pull out another ship. Yeah, they hit me with a submachine gun, and I was really hoping to get that would not bleed out before I could use a med pen to take care of my wound. But I was bleeding a little too quickly for my tastes, obviously, since, you know, I died. Proof positive that the AI doesn't necessarily have to be all that sophisticated to still do the job. I am not taking any expensive ship out there, so we're just going to grab, ooh, what's easy? My famous Aurora MR. I went through the effort of using it for the challenge. Why not make use of it again? I hope this guy isn't going to try to steal my ship, because he's going to be very disappointed, because the Aurora is not really good for stealing. Yeah, he's coming out. Well, he's in for a horrible surprise. Now, if I were flying the 600i, I'd be worried. But I'm flying the Aurora. I can imagine the way that guy's thinking. You know, I thought I was going to get a sweet ride like a Mercury or a Carrot. And he's flying this piece of garbage? Life is tough all over.
Welcome to Robert Space Industries. Enjoy the ride. System check. You are clear to launch.
Oops. I guess I never actually targeted the security outpost. I'm still targeting the private property. How embarrassing, how embarrassing.
Takeoff complete. Landing gear raised.
Ah, Aurora, my old friend. Okay, thanks for joining, Puffin. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Have a good, well, I guess morning.
Thank you. Please visit you.
Bottom drive is now on.
But we just can't let this go until those hostiles at the outpost are dealt with in a permanent manner. Unfortunately, since I was using my submachine gun when I got blown to bits, I need to grab another one. Luckily, I have a number of C-54. Well, okay, I had a number of C-54s, but after dying about 4 or 5 billion times, I don't have quite as many of them anymore. I've got to do some purchasing in the near future. Anytime that wants to finish the loadout here. Oh, I'm not waiting that long. I still gotta jump to a couple other points before I get the car in.
Bottom drive is now on. Bottom drive is now on.
Now, there's always the possibility that the 600i spawns, because there is cleanup that happens occasionally and the ship is seen to be abandoned. But I'm hoping that's not the case. Mainly because, you know, it still has my cargo on board. Nice thing about the Aurora is that at least I can accelerate and decelerate pretty quickly. The advantage of smaller ships. And someone's got me on radar lock. We'll go on the other side here. I don't see my 600i.
Radar contact.
Oh, no, not this spool up, the landing gear.
Radar contact. Landing gear deployed. Landing complete.
Okay, let's hop out. And get out of the ship, because I'm awfully vulnerable inside of it. Yeah, I have a feeling the 600i is gone. Excellent. Submachine gun is available. If anybody's on the other side of this door, they're in for a bad day, but no, he's still kicking. Oh, I hear voices.
You hear something?
Oh, that sounded way too close for my comfort. Oh, something blew up outside. Oh, doesn't that look familiar? First things first, let's make sure that I'm not in an obvious spot to get myself killed area. Unequip. Equip. And I've got my gun back. You know, I really expected somebody to be right here. Yeah, looks like my ship's gone because this was the window and it's not there. Alas, Florine, we hardly knew you. I can't believe... Over here, this terminal, this is where you would hack your database. Okay, this is going to be awfully uncomfortable because there are 3 people here and none of them are where I would have expected them to be. And that's worrisome. pressure, the pressure. Come on, there's 3 of these guys. They can't all be hiding with a perfect stealth. Yeah, I know in my heart it would get blown away again. I'm getting impatient, taking too many chances. Oh, at this point, I think I've scoured the bottom floor repeatedly, and I've yet to run into hostiles. So I can only assume they're all on a higher level. Which is going to make things very dangerous in a second. And for pity's sake, where are these guys? One down. Take a reload now because those reloads have been known to get me killed. Two more targets, and they're well hidden. Or at least well hidden to the point where I'm having trouble locating them. Oh, the drama. Ah, another guy. And he can't see me. Sniper rifle weaponry. One more. Where are you? The last target is definitely doing his best to not get attention. If I were a villainous criminal scumbag, where would I hide? Maybe if I just made a lot of noise. Yeah, it seems unlikely that he'd be hiding behind an airlock, but you know. Oh. Did I hear something behind me? Or was I just hearing things? I can't rule that out. is this guy? I mean, annoying enough that, you know, there's someone on the loose here. Yeah, it seemed unlikely he would be in here. You know, I cannot remember the last time I've had to hunt this hard for a target. I mean, seriously. I know in my heart the guy's going to kill me off because I'm just going to start running around and running around. He's just going to say, "Hi there," bang, the end. I mean, seriously. Seriously. It should not be this difficult. I mean, the heck with shooting him and killing him. I'd be okay with us finding him. Well, I'm stumped. I really am. I mean, this guy is clearly an expert in remaining undetected. Because I've just gone through every one of these rooms like 5 or 6 dozen times at this point. With the only thing in common being there's nobody even there. Nobody there.
It's over there.
Oh, I hear him. I heard him. He's above. Oh, hell in a handbasket. Where is he shooting me from? Oh, I see you. I see you. Wait. I think that was a player. Oops. There we go. The real irony here is that it was probably a player bounty, and since I didn't have his bounty, he's not dead. He's probably spawning in at Grimhex. Oh, Oh, no, there's my crime. I guess I did accidentally kill a guy. Yep, there's my crime stat rating, popping right up. Well, you know what? I'm here at Security Outpost Karia. So let's make use of being here at Karia. There is a certain level of irony going on here. Oh, I think my escape route just got blown up. Oh, I'm hearing a lot of things exploding. Keep going, crypto key. Oh, the tension, the tension. Part of the drama of doing crime. Okay, that much is almost done. Then we get to the hard part. Alright. Dismiss the homicide. Medic will go with mental incompetence. Oh, for goodness sake, could it go any slower? Then again, if it were fast, it would hardly be a challenge, wouldn't it? And dismiss. Aggravated assault. I have a sneaking feeling my ship was blown up by the turrets outside because it was sitting on a landing pad, assuming that I was being pure as the driven snow. And my crime stat is gone. I don't have to log out, but I'm logging out. And we are getting out of Dodge. However, I suspect that since my ship is gone, I'm going to have to do the time-honored method of respawning by taking off my helmet and breathing oxygen. But at least I will be a free man. I will not be waking up in the Klesher security facility. I will be waking up in the last place I spawned in at, which would be Grim Hex. Oh, that was an exciting final portion of this stream, hasn't it? With a definite surprise ending there. I mean, getting through the people who took over this outpost, that was no big deal. Killing off a player by accident, somewhat bigger deal. Being able to hack away my crime stat while I was there, special bonus. And that's going to be it for this week. Next week, I think, well, maybe I'll continue the tour of Stanton by taking us on a whirlwind tour of Arc Core, perhaps. Or maybe one of the other planets. I haven't decided yet. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. I will be streaming next week at roughly the same time. That would be 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern to roughly 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern, although I could wind up going longer depending on the situation, like today, for example. I also do streams for Star Trek Online. I stream that on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern to approximately 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. So if you've got an interest in that, feel free to drop by. I'd like to thank everybody for watching, whether you are watching this live or you're watching this as a video on YouTube or sitting there on Twitch after the event. I always appreciate folks stopping by and saying hello. This is Korith Landwalker, signing off.